Okay, an update. I finished soldering camera. It focuses, okay. So I finished soldering all of the test points onto the ribbon cable. So if you can see back here, it was a lot easier to solder to this ribbon cable than the other one, because I think this one is a 1mm pitch cable. So I don't think any of these connections are bridging, but I'm going to test it on the SBC before I do anything further, because we're going to glue those down, make sure they don't budge. And this is going to go on the front of the vehicle, well, not the front, but on a beam which sits on top in the middle. So hopefully this works. And hopefully these connections don't fall apart. I didn't manage to show it too clearly last time, but I decided I can now since I'm basically taking off the top panel to mount the camera. But we have the chassis here. So underneath it we have the power regulation and the two ESCs for the motors. And we have some Hall effect sensors on the motors so we could control them at low torque, or low RPM rather. But I need to replace these because I didn't realize that we had, these were digital Hall effect sensors, and the magnetic field from the motors isn't strong enough to trigger them. So I have analog ones here, then we should be able to actually read the phase of the motors. And yeah, that's about it. But hopefully we can get this camera mounted on without causing any issues. I have to drill 2 new holes here. These 4 holes here are for the SBC. The camera is going to go on a stand right above here. And yeah. Okay, I'm gonna power it on, see if I get a video signal from the camera. I really hope it works, but I really have little faith as well. Is this monitor gonna turn on? Decidedly not. Oh wait, no. Do I have video signal? No signal? Why is there no signal? Alright, that's concerning. No, unplug this cable. Is it okay? It's not great. So this is clearly not working. Because when I plug it in, it dies. Yep. Okay, something else is happening here then. Oh, it's probably shorting out somewhere. But then why does the fan turn on? I'm pretty sure all the connections are fine. Let's look through them again then. Okay, so I was worried that there was a short on one of the data pins, or some data pins were connected together, or if there's like VCC on the data pins or something, but it looks like the problem was that the 3.3 volt input is grounded for some reason. So I'm not sure why. I have a feeling it might be this wire that goes to the enable pin for the camera. So hopefully if I cut it, it will be fine. If not, there might be some other problems, because I drilled through the PCB, or rather I made the hole wider on the PCB so I can put these screws through. So worst case scenario, it could have been that I've merged some of the layers together by accident. But I don't think that should be the case. Hopefully it is just this cable, because if it isn't, we have a problem. Okay, well, I managed to fix the problem of the camera shorting out the power and ground pins. And I made sure that all the connections were isolated from each other just by tucking some paper in between all the pins. But I think I'm gonna have to go back and recompile the DTB files, because this sensor is a OV5645, I think, and the current build of the Linux distribution I'm using only has the device tree set up for the OV5640, I was just being hopeful that it would work with the OV5645, but looking closely, or at least having looked around on the internet a bit more, they do seem to be completely different sensors. So even if the interface was working and everything else is fine, it physically won't be able to communicate with the die because it doesn't recognize the die information which is being sent back over I2C. So I'm going to have to come back to this again and compile a new DTB file. Okay, well I have the camera hooked up to the board now, and I ended up changing the device tree file just to check if it was even being detected. So it does seem to be coming up. So you can see on the first I2C bus, device is coming up at address 3C. So it is being detected. But I think I'm going to have to make another, or recompile a Linux kernel, because I don't think the drivers for this camera module are loaded. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do this again. It's gonna take this a little while, but hopefully it should be fine afterwards. At least I know that the connections seem to be okay if it's being detected, or at least for the I2C cables, but hopefully it should be fine.